Have you been struggling on your interviews? Are you not getting the results that you want? My course, my book, my Kindle book, The Ultimate Job Interview Framework, will help you dramatically improve your performance. Now, if you'd like the course, it's a video course that I offer through Udemy. You can order it at thebiggamehunter.us or as a paperback or Kindle book on Amazon. What the course will teach you is really very simple. The best question to ask on an interview and when to ask it. How to answer the question, tell me about yourself, far better than anyone else would ever answer it. In addition, you'll be able to tell stories that connect the dots with the interviewer about how your background fits the role and be able to ask questions that are going to allow you not to step into the minefield that you've been in too many times before in your job search and in your career. So again, it's called the Ultimate Job Interview Framework. It's available on Udemy. That's udemy.com. Or you could go to my course directly at thebiggamehunter.us/interviews. Again, available inexpensively as a course or as a paperback or Kindle book on Amazon. Now let's get back to the show. OBS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 2102. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Got another show that deals with preparation for your job search, and particularly here, it's about preparation for interviewing that I just think is really important. I do hope you find it helpful. I hope you give this show an honest review wherever you listen to it. Please share this because, frankly, it will help a lot of other people, as you'll see when you listen to the show. And with that, we'll be back shortly. Support for today's show comes from Eureka. Now, if you're a technology professional wanting to get a certification, Eureka has a number of different certs that you can take that will cost you a lot less and still give you the kind of training that you really want. So use the link in the show notes to check out the site. I think you'll find it surprisingly inexpensive. And now we'll be back in just one moment. I was reminded yesterday because a friend of mine with another search firm was scheduling an interview for a candidate of mine that there are certain things that you can do in terms of consciously preparing for an interview that I think are really helpful. What his firm does, and I'm going to have something like this available on my website shortly, so if you don't see it there the next time you log on, it'll be there in the next couple of days, I can assure you. What he does is he sends a prep form to people. And here's what it does. And I'll explain what his firm does. And then the add-on piece I'd like to suggest you do. Now, the second page of the document basically has you talk about each position you've worked for. Now, I would say the last 8 to 10 years are the most pivotal time for you to be able to do this. So taking a piece of paper or working on your tablet, write down the name of the company you work for and the position that you held. And in one column, I want you to list your accomplishments and achievements while working there. On the other side of the column, list the strategy, what you implemented, processes that you've developed, how you brought about those things that you accomplished. So what this is going to do is help trigger different stories that you can prepare for in your interview. Now, the ideal situation is if you take this kind of preparation and have the job description there, so that not only are you talking about each firm that you've worked for the last 8 to 10 years and what you accomplished there and how you went about doing it, but you tie the bow and have a third column that relates to what the firm is looking for and what they expect you to do, so that this way you can address your answers to what matters to them. Does that make sense? I think it's a terrific technique for preparation. So this way you're not just winging it. You have something that you can formally use, that you've thought about in advance, that will help you. And this works in phone interviews. This works in in-person interviews. Now,
A couple of things his firm likes to remind people about. Number one is not to read too much into the tone of voice of an interviewer, because often, particularly with HR people tend to hold back and they don't really try to give much in the way of emotion. So by having that kind of a quote poker face, they try to act in a reserved way, and it doesn't mean anything more than they're trying to sound non-committal. Also, act positively. Nothing critical about any previous employee. As you respond to answers, or to questions, I should say, smile. Even if they can't see you, it has an impact on your tone of voice. I was just listening to a podcast that James Altucher was doing with someone who's a body language expert. And he says if you want to sound authoritative, you don't go to the bottom of your vocal range, but just a couple of measures up from the bottom. And you can speak firmly there. And the example that the guest used is if you were at the beach and one of your kids might be in danger, you might speak in a firm way to them, but it wouldn't necessarily be a high tone. It would still be at the bottom end of your range. And as that child got progressively more in danger, your voice might become more shrill. That's not the way to command attention in a positive way in our culture. You're better off always speaking at the bottom end of your vocal range in order to command authority and respect. So again, think in that way. Now, I'm not going to deal with money here. I have plenty of videos that do that. But I just want to encourage you, after the interview, jot down a couple of quick notes for yourself. Why do you want this job? What is it about this job and position that's attractive to you? Did any red flags come up? What were they? Write them down. What questions do you still need to have answered? Do you want to continue the interview process for this position, and why? Now, why these are helpful is you start to interview with more firms. Or as more time goes by, your feelings and opinions and thoughts about this organization will tend to wane. Translated, with time, we forget things, right? So here, I'm asking you to take some notes that I think are in good service to yourself, so that this way you're prepared before and you know how to follow up after, so that you can get your questions resolved.
That's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here are a few more ways to get information and advice from me. First of all, visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. Go to the blog. There's a lot there to help you with your job search, hiring more effectively, managing and leading, and workplace-related issues. In addition, if you're interested in my coaching you, there's a button there that says schedule. Schedule time for a free discovery call or schedule yourself in for coaching. Obviously, I'm going to charge for that, but I can help you with interview preparation, leadership coaching, salary negotiation advice, making a good decision between different offers, anything related to improving yourself in the workplace, I can coach you about. If you have questions for me, you can schedule 15 minutes with me at thebiggamehunter.us/live, or a less expensive way is at thebiggamehunter.us/video answers, where you leave a message for me and I'll respond with a 3 to 5 minute video. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/thebiggamehunter. I can assure you your network will expand a lot by connecting with me. And finally, watch me on TV. Download the Job Search TV app for fireTV, firestick, Apple TV, Roku, like 90 different manufacturers. I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, I hope you have a terrific day. Be great! Support for today's show comes from Grammarly. Grammarly has a free version that you can get as a Chrome extension, or there's a premium version that provides a lot more. Now, the Chrome extension is terrific. I used it for a couple of years, and it's only when I started writing books again that I started to look at upgrading to the paid version of the product, which is $100 for a year, if I recall correctly. Now, it works with almost everything, and it will help you with your writing. And frankly, from having read resumes for years, most of you don't write as well as you think you do. And one thing I discovered along the way is the use of commas has changed from the time I was doing a lot of writing until now. Grammarly will help you fix it easily. So again, use the link in the show notes and download the Chrome extension, or consider buying the premium version. Whichever way you go, you can't go wrong.